name is Andrea Nelson. I'm the Executive Director at the Extension Office in Polk County. And there are a few community members here in the room today. But I'd also like to introduce Dr. Deb Sellers. And I think Chad had to leave, but Dr. Chad Higgins are other individuals in Extension Outreach providing leadership to the Community Alliance. So thank you for being here. And so I felt like I would probably provide, some of you know this information, but others may be curious what the Community Alliance is, and so I thought I'd give a little bit of a background of how it began and where we are now. So in late 2015 and early 2016, Dr. Sellers and I had some community meetings in Des Moines. It was basically an open call. We asked organizations that serve youth and families, neighborhood associations, individuals and business owners that care about students at King Adult School to come and learn about the ICU for You Promise. Some of them had heard about it just by name. Some of them actually knew a lot about it, had been engaged in a few activities already in the infancy of the program. But it really was a great time to kind of dive a little bit deeper into, how do students become eligible and how do they stay eligible, and how can we, what are the benefits that Promise provide. And so we also thought it was really important to talk to these different organizations and individuals, because it was essential for us to also get better information to parents. So our students might be having regular interactions in the school, but maybe not, the parents aren't necessarily having all those same interactions. Now, of course, today we hear about how now we're texting parents, so that's great, but we really weren't doing that in 2015. And it's also a high mobility district, and so we're always going to be educating new families and new parents on the program. It was also important for us to remind the community that this was a community-based idea that represented Akeo Abdul-Samad, who is the CEO of Creative Visions and who lives in the community, of course represents it as part of his role in the State House, had discussed with President Stephen Leaf the idea of the Promise, or the idea of making sure students could go to school, and the Promise is what came out of that. And I thought that was a great way to, really go back to engage the community, because it's kind of great when a community idea was launched. So, anyway, this was a launching point for us to be able to engage in the community. It was immediately apparent to us that we had an extremely engaged set of organizations who were super passionate about their students, and I don't think we expected to be less than that, but goodness, they had so many fantastic perspectives, and so we learned a lot. And in these community meetings, we kind of held some small group and large group discussions. Certainly, there were times when we talked about the strengths and opportunities in the community, and also, of course, our weaknesses and threats that we could have that might affect our student success. And we wanted to put other ideas together, and these were naturally kind of organically happening already, but we wanted to put together ways that we could build capacity together. One of the things we wanted to make sure individuals knew was that Extension, who does also do their own programming, wasn't trying to come in and do programming in this place of what was already existing programs that were heavily rooted in youth and family development already. We certainly wouldn't have the capacity to anyway, but together we thought we could do a better job of identifying and promoting those in new communicative ways to families. And then also because now community organizations would know more about how students are eligible, that they would also be very mindful of that when doing programming with those same families, because they know that their families have developed a college goal, or perhaps in their own programming they could continue those conversations. And of course, some of those programs are obviously about like career exploration or maybe a field trip to Iowa State, but some of them are about family communication or how to balance a checkbook. All these things are still important. So, we led these a couple of meetings and sat down and had discussions. We knew that an alliance really needed to be formed, but we had to kind of dream up the structure. What did that look like? And so we drafted some details, and so I kind of crammed a bunch of details on one sheet of paper. But we outlined an idea of what an organizational structure would look like, and developed an opportunity for communities then to pledge, to become actual members of a community alliance by signing a pledge. And then went back to the community kind of share these drafted versions. And they said, full speed ahead. So it was mid-2016, and so we asked volunteers from the community to please help us with the steering committee so that we could then flesh out additional details on how could we put in some formal leadership of this executive board. For example, you'll see in the organizational chart, we needed to find those individuals, and we thought it might be best for us to elect them amongst the community, not us, cherry pick individuals or something. So we were very fortunate on our steering committee. We had representatives from CFUM and the John R. Gregg YMCA, GEAR Up Iowa, and United Way of Central Iowa. So all organizations that understand the mission, their own mission, aligns very well with what the ISU for You Promise is. And by November 2016, we hosted together a meeting to discuss with the community about formally pledging to the Alliance, and then how could you nominate and elect individuals. And so some of that was done in a room, and then election continued on an online, online tool, whatever. And so in December, when it closed, we were able to announce that we have 4 Community Alliance members. We have one of them here too, but our inaugural executive board, which actually will be meeting soon, the president is Martha McCormick, and Martha actually owns her own, it's called Next Up Adventure, her own educational consulting company, but she also is a retired Extension and Outreach 4-H Youth Development Specialist. And then our president-elect, Cynthia Hanafa, is the education director at Creative Visions. Of course, longtime community member with Creative Visions, as well as a retired teacher teaching at one time in Moulton. The secretary of the board is Billy Stone, who also is an owner of an education consulting business, but she's known around Des Moines for being a teacher and a building principal, and also known for her work at Oak Ridge. And our at-large representative is Janelle Mueller, and Janelle is the education director at CFUM, working with their K-12 audiences, a resident in the Riverbend neighborhood, and her background is also in teaching. She's also been a coach and is kind of a community activist that always wants to find a way to bring people together. Right, Jim? Yeah. Okay. That's Janelle's boss, okay? So the board will meet monthly and has a large network of Community Alliance members who already indicated their interest of serving on committees. So they already have a group that they can kind of establish as a work group for certain kinds of events and things they can do in the community. And again, working together right away to identify and promote existing youth development and family programs that could be better utilized by eligible students and families. And of course, then continue to provide programming to students as they move on to the 6th through 12th grades. And then in collaboration with Dr. Chad Higgins, the Community Alliance and Extension Outreach has made marking out some opportunities that will provide the community with benefits and has increased some of our campus support. 2 of the current issues that I would think the Community Alliance has kind of signaled as kind of the heart of what they want to accomplish. Maybe first, some of these things might change, but thought I'd share with you some of the things that they care about most. One of them is that they'd like to engage eligible students once they leave elementary school. They're concerned about their 6th through 12th grade experience, making sure that they remain eligible for the promise. And I think we're really lucky that the ISU for You Promise is what we would call an early commitment promise program. The program that we are actually locating students in these 2 schools that are eligible in elementary, and not, say, another promise program in another parts of the country that many of them wouldn't identify students until middle school or high school. And so although, it's still a good thing to say to a student anywhere, that part of another promise program anywhere, say, if you graduate from high school, you can get money to go to college. I feel like we're doing a better service to the students under this model. We're working with them and their families much earlier. And I think that means we'll also do a better job of making sure underserved students will end up in college and have a successful career in college as well. They'll graduate out of college. So. And So some of the other things they're interested in making sure is that after students are identified, that they can be tracked, and how we can provide meaningful and intentional leadership and educational opportunities for them. Another driving issue is the Community Alliance's commitment to making college a family goal. And because many of our families are new to Iowa and saying many of them are maybe new to the United States, and others may not have experience with a higher education degree, they feel that it's difficult for families to grasp what all Iowa State University is. It's a little nebulous, and it is very big, as we all know. So one way to combat that would be to provide field trips for families much earlier than what we provide field trips for families more naturally when you're when you're in high school looking for colleges. So I think that the Community Alliance will also help us find a way to make sure families can get here to campus and really understand what Iowa State University is, or how it might help, what do you say, like help their youth use their specific skill set and their specific career interests and help develop that. So I'm sure there'll be other initiatives, large and small, that will be taken on by this Community Alliance, but I think that we'll make sure that we are doing a better job of informing families through communication in more organic ways, as well as some intentional new tools to make sure they know about some of the programs to be available to them. Not that I need to probably, it's like preaching to the choir, not that I need to tell any of you, but community engagement I feel is vital to the success of the program. And although the idea of having a community alliance, or in some cases are called community councils in promise programs, isn't maybe just unique to ISU for you, I do feel like when I read about other promise programs, sometimes they use the word community engagement, and when I try to read further about what that is, it's nothing beyond asking the community to provide donations to help support the tuition awards, which is very honorable. But I wouldn't necessarily, I don't think that goes as far as what this particular Community Alliance is doing. They're doing so much more. They're really engaging in individual students and families. And again, the community part has been essential then, since this is an early commitment promise program that we now know elementary age students that are eligible for this program, that we were able to work with families, even preschool families, to say that we know what might be attending these schools, that these organizations together can help develop their families. And then I feel like as together, we might care and be more apt to make sure we're doing things like closing achievement gaps and not just reading tables and charts about it, but feel like we're actually doing something about it. I'd like to, before I get done, I want to say thank you to some of the community members that are here, and of course Cynthia's here, and Jim's here, and Jean, there she is, I thought I saw you earlier. And I know you guys care a lot about what you do, and I know you care a lot about these kids, and they care a lot about the work that all of the rest of you have been up here presenting and talking about. I'm sure some of them will be hearing more about it. And we're all really looking forward to an opportunity when we can actually say our first student has enrolled here, because it's coming quick, and we'll feel super accomplished when the first student also graduates. So anyway, thanks so much for your time. I'd love to answer your questions about the Community Alliance, and I have people here that, of course, that can help me out since they're part of the Community Alliance. So do you have questions about how it's formed or what it's doing, or?
I'm curious if any of the families have youth that are older, so they are not part of this, but maybe they're starting to be influenced by it and looking at continuing their education. I don't know what the makeup of the families are, but I just wonder if you've heard that kind of
I don't know that I've had that experience. Maybe Kayla's had an experience. I will say this, though. I have heard parents say that about their own selves, that they said that they'd be interested in at least additional lifelong learning experiences. They didn't necessarily say college, but I would imagine college might be some of the things they might also be considering. If their kids can do it, they can too. I know that I have met families that have very, very young students, so I have maybe met their oldest students, and they're very excited about staying in the community, and that certainly is a benefit, I think, to a community, that there's a reason to stay in a community, a reason to adopt a school, to say this is my school, this is part of, like, this really is a very vibrant area, and like say this is my hometown, You hear people talk about how, you know, if you get in trouble, parents know about it before you get home, okay, you know, because that's just how it works. Well, that's same here. We might be in Des Moines, but this really is, you know, a small town inside a big city, right? That's my experience. Kayla, do you have experience from?
I was just gonna say, every time we're out at the schools or in the community, and the Iowa State University logo's there, we have families asking us above and beyond the promise about opportunities to engage the university, whether it's for older sibling or it's for the parents themselves. I hear that a lot. Sometimes the guy working on the electricity in the building comes and talks to me about Iowa State. I mean, there's always someone with questions. And of course, I'm not an admissions representative, so I don't necessarily know all the answers to the questions. But of course, are you, Roa? Do you work for admissions?
No, I don't. That happens to you too. No, yeah, it happens, and I just want to say, how do you answer them? Like, what kind of resources do you get?
For specifically, if they have admissions questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually I talk with them and find out if they ever even engage with the school at all, and perhaps they need to speak with an academic advisor, or perhaps they have some college experience and they need to find out if their transcripts could transfer. There's a lot of questions. It's kind of one-on-one basis that I've talked to.
It usually is a referral to admissions or to financial aid. Roberta's not behind me anymore.
Yeah, no, she had to think this shit.
Or financial aid, depending on their question, because our office, you know, really only deals with promise eligible students.
I absolutely knew that something was happening, something special was happening with the program when we went to a parent-teacher night. And if it wasn't 100%, it might have been 95% of people stopped at the booth. And I've never been a booth. In my 16 years working in staffing booths, which I know all of you do, had almost every single person in the building stop to talk to you. And not just like breeze by and pick up the goodies and your brochure and gotta go. Sit and chat with us, and we had individuals that could speak other languages with us as well, which was very helpful. And I'm like, yeah, this is special. Never felt so needed in that particular event. So, and we had multiple people there to talk, which was good too. But that's what I knew. So, yeah.
But the easy answer to that question for adults is, of course, that Iowa State University Extension and Outreach is meant to bring the research of the university to all 99 counties. And Andrea, you represent Polk County Extension and Outreach. And so there are numerous educational opportunities supported by the university happening for families and for adults.
Absolutely. So some of those are informal pieces of education. Other ones might be providing CEUs or certification programs too. So lots of opportunities in the community without having to come to us. So other questions you might have? We have a little bit of time still, but.
Are you planning to expand more than Key?
That's a question I hear a lot in the community. That's probably one of the number one questions I hear in the community. So this is a pilot project with King and Walton School, and I don't personally know of any intentions, but of course the whole premise of the project was that it is replicatable, or how do you say that? Replicable. There you go. So we've actually been very thoughtful about when we've tried to put resources and connect things to this promise from all the different units that are supporting it, that there are elements of that any other organization, whether it be school or this school again with another district, would be able to repeat and do. So I don't know, I can't speak to any other official response to that. So, all right, well, thank you so much.